Okay, now that we got our leather cut out and all of our edges all nicely beveled, it's time to put some color on this stuff. I'm going to dye it black. I got my black dye right here. But before I did that, I went through and I used my scratch awl to mark where these lines are. This one in particular is going to be my stitch line. So once it's all glued up and glued together, I'm going to go ahead and punch my stitch holes there, and then mark another stitch line here. On the inside, I also went over with my scratch awl and marked these lines. That's where the glue is going to go, along with an 1/8 inch strip right here. And you know, I won't be able to see the lines that I drew with an ink pen because I dyed them. So, not overly complicated to dye something black. I like to shake up my dye and put it in my clamp. The clamp's there to prevent spills. Although I'm sure if I get over enthusiastic, I can still manage to spill it. But basically, I just take a dauber, soak it in dye, and just smear it all over the leather. Now with black dye, my idea is to saturate the leather. There's some dyes, mostly Fiebing's professional oil dyes, that work well doing it this way. But there are some dyes that if you soak the leather, then the color comes out too dark. And you have to use a different technique to get the desired look. Now the inside really soaks in the dye. So I'm going to go over that a few times. Not that you see the inside of the holster that clearly, but still, as far as I'm concerned, getting the color even throughout the leather is just the proper way to do it. I don't have to worry about these corners so much, but I do anyway. That's just me. Now I know that the dye is going to just soak right into the leather because this is the fuzzy side. It's very absorbent. Yeah, I'm just about done with this. I'm not worrying about it streaking or being blotchy, because if I use enough dye, that will not be a problem. It'll be thoroughly saturated. I don't know if you can see it, but it's still looking wet. And that tells me that that's enough. When it stops soaking it in like a sponge and the dye starts puddling on top of the leather, well, that's pretty much enough. On the other side now, just the same thing. Lots of dye. Now, I'm not trying to be like Michael Jackson. I'm wearing just one glove. That's because that's the handle that actually, the hand that actually handles the leather. And same thing on this side. Just put lots and lots of dye on it, until basically it just puddles on the top. That gets it saturated all the way in, way into the leather. Now black dye can be actually tricky. Sometimes after it dries, you can still get some of the lighter spots. Sometimes it looks pretty cool, it gives it a rustic look, but generally I like to have complete coverage with my dyes. You know, I don't want it to look rustic unless that's the look that I'm going after. I'll get the edges. Don't really need to do this edge because, well, I'm going to sand that anyway, but I do it anyway. And you can see, while I was doing the edges, the rest of the leather was soaking in that dye. So I'm going to put some more dye on top of it. Give that a moment or two to see what it does. And that looks like I pretty much got it because you can tell from that shine that it's puddling on the top. So now, all I got to do is let that sit and dry for a while. Then we can work a little more on it. You know what? I'm going to put some more dye on there. It's starting to soak in. It's probably got enough, but I'm going to put more on it anyway. And then I'm going to leave it sit for probably a couple of days to let it dry completely. And then we'll get back to it. That's definitely enough there. And we'll see y'all next time.